Rap has always been about the come up, but some guys didn't just make it, they redefined what making it even means. Jay-Z bought a champagne brand out of spite and flipped it to the same luxury conglomerate that owns Louis Vuitton. Kanye's lost more money in a single week than most people will see in 10 lifetimes and still claims he's richer than ever. Drake's been swapping out diamond grills like they're contact lenses and flying around in a custom Boeing 767 that costs more than a small country's GDP. We're not talking about rappers who bought a nice house and called it a day. We're talking guys who own entire sports teams, produced a Super Bowl halftime show, and negotiate deals with Apple that have more zeros than you can count on both hands. Stick around because the fortunes on this list are absolutely ridiculous. Jay-Z, $2.5 billion? Jay-Z is the richest black rapper alive at $2.5 billion, and his fortune didn't come from album sales. It came from selling stakes in champagne, cognac, streaming platforms, and sports management. In 2021, he sold 50% of Armand de Brignac to LVMH for around $315 million. 2 years later, he flipped half his cognac stake to Bacardi for $750 million. That one deal alone took his net worth from $1.3 billion past $2 billion. The Armand de Brignac move was revenge. In 2006, Cristal's CEO dismissed hip-hop's embrace of his champagne. Jay-Z boycotted Cristal, bought Armand de Brignac in 2014,
Somebody sent Jay-Z this video,
and turned it into rap.
I think I drink more.
When LV came calling, he sold them half on his terms. His music catalog is worth $95 million, less than 4% of his total wealth. The rest is ownership. This is a kid that grew up in Brooklyn's Marcy projects. His father left when he was 11. He sold drugs, couldn't get a record deal, so he co-founded Rockefeller Records in 1995 just to release Reasonable Doubt. Now he manages Rihanna through Roc Nation, represents over 100 athletes, produces the Super Bowl halftime show, and co-owns a $200 million Malibu mansion with Beyonce. Jay-Z didn't just get rich off rap. He used rap to buy into industries that don't usually let black men own anything. Dr. Dre, $500 million. Dr. Dre is worth $500 million, and he would have been a billionaire if Apple hadn't lowballed him on the Beats deal. In 2014, Apple bought Beats Electronics for $3 billion, and Dre's share was around $500 million after taxes. At the time, it was the biggest payout any musician had ever seen from a single deal. Dre famously celebrated by posting a video saying,
"First billionaire in hip-hop, right here from the mother West Coast."
But the actual number came in lower once everything was calculated. Beats started in 2006 as a partnership between Dre and Jimmy Iovine. They weren't the best headphones on the market. Audiophiles hated them, but they became a status symbol. Dre turned headphones into fashion, and suddenly every athlete, celebrity, and teenager wanted a pair. By the time Apple came calling, Beats controlled over 60% of the premium headphone market. Dre didn't just sell a product, he sold aspiration. Before Beats, Dre made his money as the most influential producer in hip-hop. He co-founded Death Row Records with Suge Knight in 1991 and produced The Chronic, Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style, and most of Tupac's biggest hits. In 1996, he left Death Row and founded Aftermath Entertainment, where he discovered Eminem and 50 Cent. Both artists made Dre tens of millions through production credits and label ownership. His wealth isn't flashy. He doesn't post on social media. He doesn't do interviews, he just works. Dre's pattern is perfectionism and ownership. He spent years working on Detox, an album that never came out because he couldn't get it right. But while he was chasing perfection in music, he quietly built Beats into a billion-dollar company. Dre's legacy is proving that producers can get richer than rappers if they own the right assets. Kanye West, $400 million. Kanye's net worth is the most disputed number in hip-hop. Forbes says $400 million. Kanye posted receipts in January 2025 claiming $2.77 billion, based on a valuation from Eaton Venture Services. The $2.3 billion gap comes down to one question: how much is the Yeezy brand worth without Adidas? In 2021, Kanye was worth $6.6 billion, thanks to his Yeezy deal with Adidas. The brand pulled in $2 billion annually and $250 million in profit for Adidas alone. Then in October 2022, Kanye made anti-Semitic remarks on podcasts and social media. Adidas terminated the partnership. Gap ended their Yeezy collaboration. Balenciaga cut ties. His billionaire status evaporated overnight. Forbes recalculated his worth at $400 million based on cash, real estate, his music catalog, and a 5% stake in Kim Kardashian's Skims brand. Kanye's argument is that he still owns the Yeezy trademark. Without Adidas manufacturing and distributing, that brand might be worth billions to the right buyer, or it might be worthless. He's been selling Yeezy products independently through his website, and in early 2025, he posted that he made $2.3 million in 24 hours from a single drop. His legal team values his music portfolio and full Yeezy ownership at $2.77 billion. Forbes says that's speculative. The truth is somewhere in between, but one thing is clear. Kanye lost at least $1.5 billion because he couldn't keep his mouth shut. He sold his Malibu mansion at a $36 million loss in 2025, which suggests he needed liquidity. If his $2.77 billion claim were validated, he'd be richer than Jay-Z. But without a major corporate partner backing Yeezy's production and distribution, most financial analysts aren't buying it. Kanye's story is the clearest example in hip-hop of how fast wealth can disappear when your brand is tied entirely to your reputation. Drake, $400 million. Drake hit $400 million in 2025, and unlike most rappers on this list, he did it almost entirely through music. No liquor brands, no fashion empires, just touring, streaming, and a massive deal with Universal Music Group. In 2022, Drake signed a long-term worldwide partnership with UMG estimated at $400 million upfront. The deal covered his catalog, publishing, merchandise, and future projects. Industry insiders say he took home over $300 million from that contract alone. His tours are where the real money lives. The It's All a Blur tour grossed $320 million in 2023, making it the highest grossing hip-hop tour in history. Over his career, Drake has earned over $430 million before taxes just from music and touring. He's the most streamed male artist on Spotify, pulling in roughly $70 million annually from streaming royalties alone. In April 2025, he became the first artist ever to surpass 500 million RIAA certified units. Drake started on Degrassi as a teen actor, then released mixtapes until Lil Wayne signed him to Young Money in 2009. His debut album Thank Me Later hit #1 on the Billboard 200 in 2010. Every studio album since has debuted at #1. He's tied with Jay-Z and Taylor Swift for the most #1 albums of all time at 14. On Valentine's Day 2025, he dropped a 21-track collaborative album with Party Next Door called Some Sexy Songs For You, which debuted at #1 and broke Apple Music's first-day streaming record for R&B. His real estate portfolio includes a custom 50,000 square foot Toronto mansion called The Embassy, worth around $100 million, a Beverly Hills mansion he bought for $75 million, and a 313-acre Texas ranch he picked up for $15 million. He also signed a reported $100 million annual deal with Stake.com, a crypto gambling platform. Drake's wealth proves you don't need side hustles if you dominate music hard enough. He monetized streaming, touring, and his catalog better than almost anyone in history. Eminem, $250 million. Hey, look, I know what y'all thinking. Eminem's white as hell. But real talk, this man been moving like one of us his whole career. So he's staying on the list no matter what you say. Eminem is worth $250 million, and he's one of the best-selling artists of all time with over 220 million records sold worldwide. He's the best-selling rapper in history, and his catalog generates millions in royalties every year. The Marshall Mathers LP sold 1.76 million copies in its first week in 2000, a record that stood for over a decade. Every album he's dropped since has gone platinum. His wealth comes from album sales, touring, and ownership of Shady Records, the label he founded with Dr. Dre in 1999. Shady signed 50 Cent, whose Get Rich or Die Trying sold 12 million copies, giving Eminem a cut as both producer and label owner. He also executive produced the 8 Mile soundtrack, which sold over 11 million copies and won him an Oscar for Lose Yourself. Eminem doesn't do endorsements. He doesn't launch clothing lines or liquor brands. He just raps. His income is almost entirely from music, album sales, streaming, touring, and publishing. He's one of the most streamed artists on Spotify, and his back catalog keeps generating revenue decades after release. In 2020, he sold over 5 million equivalent album units, proving his music still moves even without constant promotion. His pattern is consistency and catalog value. Eminem built his wealth by releasing classic albums that people return to forever. He doesn't chase trends. He doesn't pivot to business ventures outside music. He just focuses on being the best rapper alive, and the money follows. Eminem's net worth proves you don't need a side hustle if your core product is strong enough to last. Master P, $200 million. Master P is worth around $200 million, and he built that fortune by being one of the first rappers to go fully independent. He founded No Limit Records in 1991 and released over 75 albums that collectively sold millions of copies. At its peak in the late 90s, No Limit was valued at $500 million. Master P wasn't just making music, he was running a business empire that included film production, clothing, and even a short-lived chain of gas stations. His business philosophy is legendary. At a Revolt Summit in 2017, he laid out his key motto: never do a deal when you're desperate. He told a story about meeting with Jimmy Iovine when he only had $500 to his name. Iovine asked if he was really worth $1 million more than what he was offering. Master P walked away from the deal, rebuilt on his own terms, and eventually made far more by retaining ownership of his catalog and distribution. No Limit went bankrupt in 2003, but Master P rebuilt. He invested in real estate, tech, and launched a family album label. He became a motivational figure in hip-hop, often mentoring younger artists on contract negotiations and ownership. His message is simple: pray for wisdom, not money. know your worth, don't sell out. These principles made him one of the most respected businessmen in rap, even if his music career never reached the heights of Jay-Z or Drake. Master P's wealth is a testament to independence. He proved that you don't need a major label to build an empire if you're willing to grind, own your work, and reinvest profits. He's not the flashiest name on this list, but his influence on rap entrepreneurship is massive. Every independent rapper today is following a blueprint Master P wrote in the 90s. Lil Wayne, $170 million. Lil Wayne sits at around $170 million, and most of that came from building Young Money into a launching pad for Drake and Nicki Minaj. Wayne sold over 100 million records across his career, but the real money came from owning the label that signed two of the biggest artists of the 2010s. Young Money has 15 #1 Billboard albums to his name. Every time Drake or Nicki dropped a project, Wayne got a cut. He came up through Cash Money Records in the late 90s as part of the Hot Boys, then broke out solo with Thad Carter series, starting in 2004. Thad Carter 3 sold over 1 million copies in his first week and won a Grammy. But his relationship with Cash Money turned ugly. In 2015, Wayne sued Birdman and Cash Money for $51 million in unpaid royalties, claiming they were holding Thad Carter 5 hostage. The lawsuit dragged on for years before settling, and Wayne finally released Thad Carter 5 independently in 2018. Wayne's had a rough road. He served 6 months in jail in 2010 on a gun charge and still earned $20 million that year, according to Forbes. He suffered multiple seizures due to epilepsy and nearly died in 2013, but he kept working. He jokes publicly that net worth sites claiming he has $150 million are wrong, saying in a Revolt interview that he doesn't have a cent close to that. Whether that's modesty or tax strategy is unclear, but what's not debatable is that Wayne built Young Money from the ground up and turned it into one of the most profitable labels in rap. Snoop Dogg, $160 million. Snoop Dogg is worth around $160 million, and he's made that money by being everywhere. Music, movies, cannabis. Most of y'all probably know him because of weed, tech investments, even the Olympics. He sold 35 million albums over his career, but the real money came from diversifying into anything that would pay him. In 2022, he bought Death Row Records, the label that launched his career in 1993, bringing the catalog back under his control. That purchase alone gave him ownership of classic albums that generate royalties forever. His investment firm, Casa Verde, is a cannabis venture capital fund with around $300 million. In portfolio value, he's invested in Reddit, Robinhood, and multiple tech startups. In 2024, he launched a gin brand called Still Gin with Dr. Dre, and he became a special correspondent for NBC's 2024 Olympics, even carrying the Olympic torch. That gig paid him millions and introduced him to a whole new audience who'd never heard Doggy Style. Snoop's biggest legal moment was his 1996 murder trial. He was charged in connection with the shooting, and the case was televised nationally. He was acquitted in February 1996, and when the verdict came down, he just said it's fair.
They did what they were supposed to do when they gave the baton to the jury, and I couldn't do nothing but just bank on them.
That trial could have ended his career, but instead it cemented his gangster image while he walked free. After that, he pivoted into mainstream entertainment, appearing in movies like Training Day and hosting a cooking show with Martha Stewart. His adaptability is the key. He went from Death Row's hardcore West Coast rap to family-friendly commercials and gospel albums without losing credibility. He's one of the few rappers who successfully bridged the street and the boardroom. Snoop's pattern is saying yes to everything, then filtering out what works. That's how a gangster rapper ends up commentating at the Olympics and selling gin with Dre while still dropping albums. Ice Cube, $160 million. Ice Cube is worth $160 million, and he's one of the few rappers who successfully transitioned from music into Hollywood without losing his edge. He co-founded NWA in the late 80s and wrote most of their biggest hits, including The Police, but he left the group in 1989 over money disputes, then dropped America's Most Wanted in 1990, which went platinum and proved he didn't need NWA to succeed. His pivot to film made him rich. He starred in Boys and the Hood in 1991, then wrote and starred in Friday in 1995, which became a cult classic and spawned 2 sequels. He founded Q Vision, his own production company, and produced Barbershop, which grossed $77 million at the box office. In 2015, he co-produced Straight Outta Compton, the NWA biopic, which was nominated for an Oscar and made over $200 million worldwide. Cubes also launched the Big Three, a 3-on-3 basketball league for retired NBA players. The league started in 2017 and has drawn millions in sponsorships and TV deals. He owns songwriting credits on every NWA hit, which means he still collects royalties decades later. His wealth is split between music catalog royalties, film residuals, and Big Three revenue. He's one of the most respected figures from the NWA era, and he turned that credibility into a stable Hollywood career that keeps paying. His advice to younger artists is simple.
Be authentic and let the chips fall where they may.
That's exactly what he did. Ice Cube went from writing the angriest rap songs of the 80s to producing family comedies and running a sports league. And he did it without apologizing or code switching. Now, there's another guy who could have made it into this video, but he's locked up, and I can't really mention his baby oily name in the video, if you know what I'm saying. So let's get to the next one on this list. Nicki Minaj, $150 million. Nicki Minaj is the richest female rapper alive at around $150 million, and she built that fortune through hit records, massive tours, and endorsement deals with Pepsi, Mac, and Beats by Dr. She came up under Lil Wayne's Young Money label in the late 2000s, and her debut album Pink Friday went platinum 5 times. She's one of the best-selling female rappers of all time, with over 100 million records sold worldwide. Her endorsement deals are where the money stacked up. She had a rumored $100 million deal with Beats by Dre and launched her own fragrance line that brought in millions. She's had partnerships with Fendi, H&M, and Adidas. In 2012, she signed on as a judge for American Idol and reportedly made $12 million for one season. She also launched Pink Friday Entertainment, her own label, giving her a piece of every artist she signs. Nicki brands herself as Billionaire Barbie on social media, playfully calling herself a billionaire even though her net worth is closer to $150 million. In October 2023, fans accused Forbes of underrating her wealth after she posted the nickname, sparking debates online about how female rappers' earnings get calculated. She's been vocal about ownership, often talking in interviews about retaining her publishing and masters so she gets ongoing royalties instead of one-time payouts. She's had high-profile feuds with Cardi B, including a red carpet scuffle at a Harper's Bazaar party in 2018, but those controversies haven't hurt her earning power. Her tours consistently sell out, and she remains one of the most streamed female artists on Spotify. Nicki's wealth is proof that female rappers can compete financially with the men at the top, and she's paved the way for artists like Megan Thee Stallion and Doja Cat to negotiate better deals by showing what's possible. Rick Ross, $150 million. Rick Ross is worth around $150 million, and he made that money by building a brand around luxury, excess, and street credibility. He dropped his debut album, Port of Miami, in 2006, which debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, and he's been releasing albums and mixtapes consistently ever since. He founded Maybach Music Group in 2009, signing artists like Meek Mill and Whale, and turned it into one of the most successful independent labels in hip-hop. Ross is famous for his real estate portfolio. He owns a 235-acre estate in Georgia that used to belong to boxer Evander Holyfield. The property has 109 rooms, and Ross uses it for events, music videos, and as a personal compound. He also owns multiple Wingstop franchises, claiming he makes more money from chicken than rap. In interviews, he's talked about how owning franchises gives him passive income that doesn't depend on album sales or touring. His image is tied to excess, expensive cars, cigars, champagne, and designer clothes. But behind the persona is a businessman who understands that rap careers don't last forever. He's diversified into food, real estate, and label ownership to ensure long-term income. Ross's pattern is branding. He sells a lifestyle, then monetizes it through every channel available. His Maybach Music Group continues to release projects, and his Wingstop franchises keep generating revenue, whether he drops music or not. Rick Ross proves that you don't need to be the most lyrical or the most acclaimed to build wealth in hip-hop. You just need to understand your brand, scale it, and invest the profits into assets that outlive your music career. Birdman, $150 million. Birdman is worth around $150 million, and he made that money as the co-founder of Cash Money Records alongside his brother Slim. In 1998, Cash Money signed a landmark $30 million joint venture with Universal, one of the biggest label deals in hip-hop history at the time. That deal launched Lil Wayne, Juvenile, and eventually Drake and Nicki Minaj. Birdman wasn't just a rapper, he was the executive who built the machine, but his wealth came with drama. In 2015, Lil Wayne sued Birdman and Cash Money for $51 million in unpaid royalties, accusing them of holding Thought Carter hostage and refusing to pay him what he was owed. The lawsuit exposed the ugly side of Cash Money's business practices, and it took years to settle. Birdman also countersued Jay-Z's Tidal in 2016 for $50 million, alleging they streamed Wayne's music without authorization. Birdman's known for his flashy persona. He's always covered in diamonds, stacks, cash and music videos, and invented the money dance that became a hip-hop staple. He famously said, "The only time I've ever been broke in my life is when I was born," a line that became one of his trademarks. After Hurricane Katrina, he claimed he lost 20 houses, 50 cars, and memories, though the exact numbers were never verified. His wealth fluctuated. He nearly lost his Miami mansion to debt, and the Lil Wayne lawsuit settlement reportedly cut him out of Wayne's future earnings, diminishing his income stream. But he still owns Cash Money's back catalog, which generates royalties from decades of hits. Birdman's legacy is complicated. He built one of the most important labels in Southern rap, but his business practices burned bridges with the biggest artists he ever signed. Kendrick Lamar, $140 million. Kendrick Lamar is the last rapper on our list, sitting at around $140 million, and he's built that fortune by being the most critically acclaimed rapper of his generation. He's won 17 Grammy Awards, including a Pulitzer Prize for Damn in 2018, the first non-classical, non-jazz album to ever win. His albums consistently top year-end lists, and he's widely considered the best lyricist in modern hip-hop. His wealth comes from album sales, touring, and a partnership with Top Dog Entertainment that gives him creative control while still earning label support. In 2020, he co-founded PG Lang, a multimedia company with his longtime collaborator Dave Free. The company produces music, films, and branded content, giving Kendrick ownership over his creative output beyond just rapping. Kendrick doesn't chase commercial appeal. He's never had a #1 pop single, but his albums still sell millions. Good Kid, Mad City went triple platinum. To Pimp a Butterfly is considered one of the best rap albums ever made. Damn debuted at #1 and won the Pulitzer. In 2024, his diss track, Not Like Us, aimed at Drake became one of the biggest viral moments in hip-hop, pulling in millions in streaming revenue and proving Kendrick's cultural power. His net worth is lower than Drake's, but Kendrick's influence is arguably bigger. He's the rapper other rappers respect. He doesn't flood the market with features or constant releases. He waits, drops a masterpiece, then disappears. That scarcity keeps his value high. Kendrick's pattern is artistry over commerce, and somehow that's made him richer than 99% of rappers who chase hits. These rappers didn't just get rich, they redefined what wealth looks like in hip-hop. Jay-Z selling champagne to LVMH, Kanye losing billions and claiming he's richer than ever, Drake pulling in $400 million from touring alone, Dre selling headphones to Apple for $500 million. These are the guys who prove that rap isn't just a genre, it's a business model. Some of them diversified into liquor, fashion, and tech. Others stuck to music and owned their catalogs. A few made fortunes, lost them, and rebuilt. But the common thread is ownership. They didn't just sign deals, they owned the rights, kept the equity, and turned hip-hop into generational wealth. The rankings might shift. Kanye could prove his $2.77 billion valuation is real. Drake's next tour could push him past $500 million. But right now, Jay-Z sits at the top, and he got there by treating rap like a stepping stone instead of the destination. He didn't just want to be the best rapper alive, he wanted to own everything the best rapper would buy. Drop a comment and let me know which rapper on this list surprised you the most. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe for more. See you in the next one.